Welcome to this explainer. When we think of tropical coasts, we usually picture sandy beaches. But today, we're diving into the gritty, unsung heroes of our coastlines, mangroves, and their incredibly vital, literally inseparable connection to coral reefs. If you've ever wondered how these beautifully fragile reef ecosystems actually manage to survive, or what exactly stands between our dry land and the raw, destructive power of the ocean, well, you're in exactly the right place. We are going to unpack the science, the shared distribution, the mutual threats, and the strategies behind protecting these absolutely essential environments. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start by defining the coastal interface, map out global mangrove hotspots, uncover the superpowers of the swamp, address the threats to the coast, and wrap up with strategies for survival. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The coastal interface. So, what exactly are we talking about? By definition, mangroves are these incredibly tough, salt-tolerant forests made up of specialized trees and shrubs. They grow right in the tidal estuaries and coastal zones of tropical areas. I mean, think about it. Most plants would just instantly die in these super salty, flooded conditions. But mangroves, they absolutely thrive right where the land crashes into the sea. And because of this unique position, they act as a living bridge to marine ecosystems, basically serving as the frontline connection to our coral reefs. Moving on to Section 2, Global Mangrove Hotspots. These resilient forests actually have a massive global footprint. Get this, mangroves cover an impressive 25% of the entire world's tropical coastline. That is a full quarter of our tropical shores, guarded by these complex interwoven root systems, stretching everywhere from Southeast Asia and West Africa, all the way to the South Pacific and the Caribbean. And when we talk about scale, man, some regions are absolute heavyweights. Take the colossal Sundarbans in Bangladesh. We're talking 570,000 hectares. That makes it the single largest mangrove forest in the whole world. Or look at the Niger Delta, which holds over 75% of the entire African continent's remaining mangroves. We aren't just talking about local muddy swamps here. These are massive, globally significant ecosystems that literally dictate the health of our oceans and regional economies. All right, Section 3, Superpowers of the Swamp. Now, this is where it gets really cool. The biological productivity of these ecosystems is just off the charts. To put it into perspective, a single hectare of mangrove forest in the Philippines doesn't just sit there looking green. It yields a staggering 400 kilograms of fish, plus another 75 kilograms of shrimp, every single year. Because the water is just packed with rich nutrients from decaying organic matter, it's basically the ultimate nursery for species that eventually head out to populate our coral reefs. It's an absolute biological engine that supports local livelihoods and provides essential food, fuel, and medicine. And the crucial point here is their incredible symbiotic loop with coral reefs. It's really a three-step masterpiece of nature. Step 1, mangroves act like giant natural sponges, filtering out excess nutrients, agricultural runoff, and even raw sewage from the land. Step 2, because of this heavy-duty filtration, the coastal waters stay crystal clear, which stops sediment from just completely smothering the nearby coral reefs. And then, Step 3, the coral reefs return the favor. They act as a physical breakwater, giving the mangroves the calm water and stable sediment they absolutely need to take root and grow. It's a perfect closed-loop partnership. But wait, there's more. Beyond feeding communities and sheltering migrating reef species, they act as literal physical armor for our coastlines. Those dense, crazy root systems, they absorb the brutal physical force of hurricanes and storms. In fact, in a lot of regions, they're officially managed as designated protection forests, simply because they're so incredibly effective at guarding coastlines against rapid erosion and preventing destructive landslides. They are our absolute best line of natural coastal defense. Which brings us to a tougher topic. Section 4, Threats to the Coast. Unfortunately, human-driven agricultural and industrial expansion are rapidly wiping out these vital habitats. We're seeing this massive conversion of mangrove swamps into rice paddies, along with an exponential expansion of commercial shrimp farms, especially across Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Throw in aggressive coastal urbanization, exploding populations, and land clearing for massive mass tourism facilities like giant hotels and leisure docks, and well, it's a disaster. We are systematically tearing down our own natural armor, leaving both our coastlines and the neighboring coral reefs completely vulnerable. And then there's this truly devastating industrial reality. 1.5 million tons. That is the estimated tons of oil spilled in the Niger Delta over a 50-year period of oil exploitation. That level of severe, chronic pollution completely cripples the delicate biological ecosystem, and it destroys the livelihoods of millions of locals who depend on those healthy waters. So, what's the cascading consequence of all this urbanization, unchecked agriculture, and industrial pollution? A devastating regional decline. India, West Africa, and Southeast Asia have already lost roughly 50% of their total mangrove cover. Just let that sink in for a second. Half of the mangrove forests in these major global hubs totally wiped out. It's an immeasurable loss of biodiversity, natural coastal defense, and vital economic resources. But it's not all doom and gloom. Section 5, Strategies for Survival. One major shift we are making is totally rethinking how humanity interacts with these environments. We absolutely have to transition away from destructive mass tourism, the kind that actively requires bulldozing mangroves for giant concrete docks and infrastructure. Instead, regions are successfully pivoting towards sustainable ecotourism. By setting up things like small group, manpower-based raft trips, we can actually generate essential revenue for local conservation while leaving practically zero environmental footprint. It's all about observing the ecosystem, not paving over it. Furthermore, we're putting some really rigorous management and restoration techniques into play. We are leaning heavily into integrated ecosystem management, which basically means we actively protect coral reefs and mangroves at the exact same time, since, as we know, their survival is completely linked. We're legally designating more areas as protection forests to preserve drinking water quality and provide sustainable flood defense, and we're seeing some truly inspiring large-scale restoration efforts, like the InfraPro project over in Malaysia, where teams are taking on the massive task of literally replanting forests by hand to restore lost biodiversity and reestablish critical corridors for animal movement. So this leaves us with a critical, lingering question as we wrap up this explainer. With mangroves currently covering 25% of our tropical coasts, can we scale these incredible integrated management and ecotourism strategies fast enough? Can we actually reverse those devastating 50% declines we've seen in key regions before we lose the vital, living interface between our land and sea entirely? The biology is resilient, and the strategies definitely work. Now it's just a race against time. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope this deep dive helps you truly appreciate the gritty, essential world of our coastal guardians and the fragile coral reefs they protect. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.